Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
8:06 on this Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us. Hey, coming up in 30 minutes, Kevin Sorbo will join us, talk about his brand new book about fatherhood. Mercedes Schlapp, I just figured out why the Republicans did so well. 31-11, right? It's like, where did the Republicans get that kind of offensive output on the baseball diamond last night in the congressional baseball game? I just found out. You know who was there with them as their hitting coach?
Who?
Steve Garvey, Republican candidate for Senate in California, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer.
Oh, my. So that's the strategy.
That was it. Steve Garvey
I thought it was
taught him how to
Roger
hit.
Williams. Isn't Roger Williams also in the baseball world as well? He's Texas.
Yes. But Steve Garvey, come on.
No, that's pretty impressive. That explains everything.
And now, if he can take that kind of winning streak into the general election and beat Adam Schiff, that would be, talk
amazing.
About an earthquake out of California.
Yes.
All right, joining us right now is a good friend and one of our favorite guests. She, of course, is the amazing KT McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump. Been in the foreign policy national security game going back to Henry Kissinger. KT, good to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
There's a lot to discuss with you with regard to President Biden heading to Europe for the G7. But really quickly, you've been posting about this on the X platform quite a bit. The 51 intelligence professionals who altered the course of the 2020 election by falsely claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. That was then used to censor innocent American citizens who were sharing that story and to demonize Miranda Devine, the reporter at the New York Post. The Justice Department just used that very same laptop as evidence in a criminal trial against Hunter Biden. So what now happens to those 51 intelligence officials?
Yeah, think about what they did. There was a person at the CIA, an employee of the Central Intelligence Agency, who at the direction of Tony Blinken, who was Biden's foreign policy advisor during the campaign, the CIA employee got in touch with former senior officials in the intelligence community and said, let's all do this letter. There's going to be a debate between Trump and Biden, and we want to make sure that Biden doesn't have to answer these questions about his son and the laptop and all the issues. So what did these guys do? They carefully lawyered a letter saying it has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation, knowing that when they put that out to the American public, that it would look like the intelligence community was saying that it was a Russian operation, that it wasn't a real laptop, it wasn't a Hunter Biden thing, and that did affect the election. I mean, the polls have all shown and that enough people would have been questioning Biden's role and all this, that it might have changed their votes. And we all know it was an election that was really just swung one way or the other by a couple thousand votes in a couple of key districts. So these intelligence officials did a disinformation campaign against the American people to affect the outcome of an election. This is not, they did it to the Russian people or to the Iranians. They did it to their own people. And nobody's had to account for it. Nobody's even apologized for it. It's all the evidence has now shown that they knew what they were doing and that they knew they were lying, but they did it anyway. And a lot of these people, in fact, I would assume most of them, still have their security clearances, which means they can continue to reclassify information, which means they can continue to have lucrative government and defense industry contracts. They're getting rewarded for lying to the American people, and I think they have to be held accountable. At a minimum, they should lose their security clearances and forfeit the contracts.
Oh, yeah, and apologize. Because the damage is done. I do want to shift gears into President Biden. He's arrived at the G7 summit.
Yeah.
And there's some awkwardness when he's saluting or saluted the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. They're also looking to sign this 10-year security agreement with Ukraine at the G7 summit. I heard from one senator that, look, this war's for the long haul. I mean, how can we even continue to fund this war, especially knowing now that you have Russian fleets literally coming 90 miles from American shores here? I mean, this really seems like it's escalating.
Yeah, and I just returned. I've spent several trips going to Eastern Europe, meeting with Eastern European government officials and others in the Baltics. And the attitude is whatever it takes as long as it takes. In other words, we should continue to do whatever it takes, and as long as it takes. And then they look to the United States to be the one doing the whatever it is.
Yeah.
there's no. It's just baffling to me that the President of the United States has sent basically $100 billion in military assistance to Ukraine, and we've never had an explanation of what's the plan. How are we going to do? I mean, what's our goal here? And at all the meetings I've had, everybody states the obvious. Oh, it'd be terrible if Russia won. Oh, it'd be great if Ukraine won. Oh, we got to punish Putin. But nobody has a plan to how you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And by just putting money at it without a plan, we're in another forever war. It sounds like it sounds like Afghanistan all over again. I don't mind doing it. I just want a plan. And as long as oil prices remain high, that's how Russia is paying for this war, with their windfall profits from high oil prices thanks to Joe Biden's energy policy. And the way to really stop the war is to bankrupt Russia by driving down energy prices, which a President Donald Trump knows how to do. He was president, it was $40 a barrel. It's double, triple that now, and during the Biden presidency. So what's Putin done with all that money? What Russians always do when they get that kind of money. They invade their neighbors, they build up their military, and have proxy wars.
Yeah. KT McFarland, the president plans to kick off the G7 summit by signing a 10-year security agreement between U.S. and Ukraine. How binding is that? This isn't a treaty?
Not at all.
So this is just a demonstration.
So if you have a treaty with a country, that means the president proposes it, and the Senate confirms it, and the whole United States government is in on it. We all agree to it. Right. That's like the defense treaty we have for NATO. This is an executive order, which means it's the president, while he's president, can basically have his little wish list and do it, but it ceases to be effective 3 minutes after he's out of office. Okay. So I don't think it's fair to the Ukrainians to say, look, we promise we're going to give you 10 years of aid, when he knows he can't live up to that promise.
Yeah, it's all for show.
It just falls out. Look, one thing that really made me mad is I met with a Polish foreign minister 2 weeks ago, and he was scoffing at the United States contribution. He said, look, the reason Ukraine is losing this war slowly is that the United States aid didn't come in time, or the United States is putting restrictions on how its weapons can be used. And then he had the audacity to say, look, Ukraine's only costing America 4% of its defense budget. They certainly could do more. And then he said in the argument that they're not giving Ukraine ammunition is because we need it for our own forces. He then scoffed and said, really? Are you going to fire bullets into China, America? I think the attitude needs a little adjusting.
That's arrogant.
Yeah. I do want to ask, though, we don't have time to get into Israel right now, KT, sadly, but just to follow up on Ukraine. In the 90s, after the breakup of the Soviet Union, Ukraine did possess nuclear weapons, and they had every right to keep them to defend themselves. America, under Bill Clinton, we talked them into getting rid of them. And promises were made that we would defend them at the time, right? I mean, do you feel like we do have some level of obligation to Ukraine?
That's always been up for grabs. Some people have said that we gave them an ironclad commitment. Others said, well, they never got it in writing. And then other people said, look, it never happened. So I can't adjudicate that decision that was made under previous administrations. What I can look at now is to say, yeah, it would be great if Ukraine won. Yeah, it'd be great if Russia lost. But how? Tell me how. Yeah. And how is we're not going to beat them on the battlefield. They've got plenty of money and plenty of bodies to throw at this war for a long time. And so the best way is to bankrupt. That's how Ronald Reagan won the Cold War. He bankrupted the Soviet Union. We could bankrupt Russia again in a matter of months.
Just cut off the oil spigot. That's all it takes.
Yep.
All right, KT, always great, always enlightening, always educational, and that's all I got for you.
You make us smarter every day.
Really do.
Thank you both very much.
That's all we ask for. KT McFarland. It's 8:15. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the Fives here.
So much truth, you'll hope for traffic so you can hear it all on the Vince Colonnade Show, weekdays 3 to 6, right here on WMAL.
Mercedes, you've ever seen Men in Black? You've had to see Men in Black, right?
Like parts of it, maybe a long time ago.
Well, part of the fun of it is that, aliens live among us, and they're in disguise. And, of course, like Michael Jackson and Oprah and all these people, it's like, aha, of course, that makes sense. Of course they're aliens. But now, according to a new Harvard study, this Men in Black may be for real, and they are living among us. By the way, Harvard, As if Harvard's reputation hadn't already taken enough hits this year, and now they've added this to it.
Last time I checked, the aliens are the pro-Hamas protesters that are in the encampments.
Right. All right. So here's the Harvard study. Aliens might be living
boy.
among us, according to a new study by Harvard academics. This paper suggests that extraterrestrials could be living underground or in a base inside the moon. So the moon is really just a base that orbits the Earth, so the aliens can keep tabs
That's what
on
I've
us.
been seeing on the moon every night.
This is a study
Okay.
by Harvard's Human Flourishing Program. It puts forward the idea that UFOs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, they call them UAPs now, may be spaceships visiting their Earth-based alien friends. Reading right from the paper, the author became increasingly aware of the depth of evidence and theory that also tentatively supports another ultra-terrestrial explanation, the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, or our focus here, which holds that UAP may reflect activities of NHIs concealed here on Earth, underground, and in its environs.
You're missing the theories. They have various theories, but theory number 4 is my favorite. The quote-unquote magical crypto-terrestrials, entities which are less like homegrown aliens and more like earthbound aliens.
No, earthbound angels.
Angels. Sorry, earthbound angels. I read too quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, the paper says these relate to the world inhabited by humans in ways that are less technological than magical, giving the examples of fairies, elves, and nymphs. I mean, are you kidding me? Now, I will tell you something. It is Harvard, but let me tell you something. I have to say, we've covered these stories before, right? And you've had these congressional committee hearings where you've had several of these congressmen come out on television while they're classified, and they are like completely freaking out.
Tucker is convinced. Tucker Carlson talks about this like once a week on his show, and he's convinced that this is a thing.
I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if I'm into the aliens, but
let me ask you this: of the people in our world, it's like, forget about famous people. Michael Jackson obviously was a alien, still is. He's still alive,
right.
But amongst the people that we interact with every day, it's like it's obvious that Chris Plant is an alien, right? I mean, that's just, it's a no-brainer.
I called him a superior being yesterday, and he just loved it. He was like, oh, of course I am.
Nobody can operate on that level and be a humanoid. He's obviously...
I really think Joe Biden has been overtaken by an alien, for sure. Like, that's why he's frozen. Like, he's just demon. Frozen. Huh?
I think he's been overtaken by a demon.
Too. That's
Who
true,
else do you think is an alien? Sean Spicer? Do you think Sean Spicer is an
alien? No. He's too short. He's too short.
Well, he could be. Don't see in Men in Black they have the really little people that live.
Oh, they have the little people.
They use
definitely not Sean.
And they operate his head. I think.
I'm thinking it's like Joe Biden. Like there's definitely some things like overtaken him.
How else do you explain Sean Spicer's success?
That's not fair. He's so talented. He's so funny. He's got a great sense of humor.
I beg your pardon. You can say anything about any other man that we know, but I have to always be the funniest person in the room. All right, don't tell me how funny Sean Spicer
You are funny,
is.
but between you and Chris Plant, I'm not sure. It goes. You guys have such different sense of humors.
I think that Tom Fitton could be an alien.
Oh. Sometimes he looks like Superman because he's all in that buff
exactly.
shirt.
No, he's one of those he's like a Marvel alien, like some.
He tries to be the Marvel alien. Goodness
he's
gracious,
like Thor.
He's like
crazy.
Thor. He's like what?
Thor.
He's a magical one. He's like an earthbound angel.
Thor is an alien. I know everyone thinks he's a superhero. He's an alien.
So Thor. No, he is not Thor. Okay, like Thor is very handsome. Not that Tim.
What the hell is that? Tom, well, I'm not. He's a gorgeous man.
Thor
what are you talking
this
about?
This is crazy conversation that you're having.
I'm just trying to think of all the people that I know have these monitors on their names so that whenever they're
is Mark Levin
an
alien? That would be interesting.
Mark Levin is not an alien, but Julie, his wife, is an alien.
She's brilliant.
And she is the mastermind behind everything.
She totally is. She's more like goddess status than she is an alien, but that's a different story.
Ben Shapiro could very well be an alien.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
That explains a lot, actually.
Anyways, going back to the Harvard study.
Oh, sorry. Yes. What about I'm more disturbed by the idea of the moon
on
being
social media.
Secret.
Let us know who you all think is an alien that lives
Reach out
in
to
this
us on
area.
social. Tell us who you think is an alien.
Yeah, let's do that. That would be kind of fun.
Other than the obvious Chris Plant.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:36. Thanks for starting your day here in Washington with O'Connor and Company. It's been our pleasure. Larry O'Connor alongside Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes, what do we say about our next guest? I mean, he's a Hollywood actor. He's been in some great films. Of course, the series Hercules. Now he's a children's book author. But honestly, the best thing that he's got going for him is he gets to call Sam Sorbo his wife.
I was going to say, you just took it out of my...
Honestly,
seriously, that's amazing. I was going to say it's really Sam Sorbo.
Rarely jealous of a man, but Kevin Sorbo.
But we love Kevin, too.
Thanks for
they're
joining
both amazing.
us,
They're a great couple.
That's good to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
So your book is called The Bear Essentials of Fatherhood. This is one of those great brave books, children's books. And it's about Moby the bear sort of learning in an interesting way about how important fatherhood is. I love the concept here. Tell us about it.
Well, it's perfect timing for it, isn't it? Because not only Father's Day coming up shortly, it's the month for fathers. I'm still a little confused why Pride gets a month and Mother's Day and Father's Day and our vets get one day, but I'll figure that out eventually maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful movie. What these guys, wonderful book of what Brave Books is doing. Go to bravebooks.com to get more information on the amazing work that they're doing and the things they're putting out to really instill moral values into kids between the ages of 4 and 11, and they do such a wonderful job with it.
And do you think that our culture right now, and it's funny that one of the characters is called Vulture the Culture, or Culture the Vulture, I should say, who sort of plants these seeds in Moby's head about how no one appreciates him and what he does as a father. But there really is, in our culture, I think, sort of a lack of appreciation for fathers. It's you turn on any television commercial, and the father is always depicted as an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah. They love doing that. Look, they've been doing it in sitcoms for decades, where the dad's kind of chunky, overweight, and then mom's a babe, and the teenage kids just make fun of dad. He's like this useless idiot in there, and they do it over and over again. It's on purpose. They want destroy the family unit. Government wants full control of everybody's lives from cradle to grave. And what's the best way to do that? Well, let's disrupt the family unit, and they say it's not important. And it's certainly working on the left. I mean, the vast majority of people on the left don't even want to have kids. They don't want to have marriage or kids. And I think the downfall of the family unit is part of the downfall of America, let alone you brought up my wife's name, Sam, the downfall of education, which she speaks on all the time, and I'm in total agreement with things that she's fighting for, yeah.
Now, your book is with Brave Book, which they've partnered with you in basically, I think we're looking at what you and Sam, I think it's so important. One of the things that we're missing in our society is this ability of really building strong men, because what have the left have done? They have basically made it into toxic masculinity. If you're standing strong as a man, if you're there to protect your family. When you're, I know you have a son. What is your advice to your son as as your son continues? I know he's also pursuing acting, in terms of saying, look, fatherhood is a beautiful thing. It's wonderful. I know it sounds like it's stressful, which it is at times, but I mean, what is your advice to young men today?
Don't let government control your lives. Don't let fear control your lives. And listen to this craziness that's going on there. I got 2 boys. Both of my boys, they're 22 and 20. They're big, they're strong, they're full men. I love them, but both of them, when they go to the gym to work out, they wear shirts like embrace masculinity and fatherhood is the future and things like this. So I love the fact they're not afraid to put themselves out there and try to cut some common sense into people. But it once again, it just starts back everything from grade school all through universities now, the insanity of what's going on. I saw Bill Maher say a couple months ago, don't send your kids to American universities, because this craziness and indoctrination of them has been very highly successful. But look, we took the Bible out of the schools in 1964, and it's been a slippery slide since, and our school systems have failed us miserably. I always look at what the Bolshevik Revolution, what did Lenin say? He said the best way to control the population is through education. And that's what our country's doing right now. And the fatherhood is one of those first things that get attacked. I saw the manifesto from BLM, and one of the top things in their manifesto was to disband family units and disband, get rid of God, get rid of all those things. I mean, what's the first thing our government did during COVID? Is said that church isn't essential. Our government, which was founded by Christian forefathers, our Constitution, our Bible brings us our laws. I mean, it's crazy what we're doing to the world right now, and people are falling under it.
Our guest is Kevin Sorbo, and I always like to reflect on the culture in Hollywood and how the entertainment industry affects so much of the daily conversation. There was a time when Hollywood, Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne and Buddy Ebsen and, the actors, male actors embodied this rugged American spirit, and they, stood for the great values that our nation stands for. You're in their mold, Kevin Sorbo, but these days in Hollywood, your kind of a belief system, what you stand for, it's not welcome. But I gotta say, you have been able to carve out a brand new Hollywood model. You're able to make films, make money doing them, and still maintain your values and principles. That's really a new development, because the studios aren't in charge as much as they used to be, right?
No, they're not. I mean, things are changing quickly, obviously, with technology and, Netflix and Amazon, but now independent movie producers like myself, we're fighting back. I think the best compliment I've ever gotten, I've heard it from a number of different people through the years, is saying that I'm the modern day Gary Cooper. Well, I'll take that. I'll take that and carry that. That's an honor to me.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to keep making the movies that Hollywood doesn't make. I've got 2 movies coming out in August. One's called the Firing Squad, true story set in Indonesian prison. The other one is the Ronald Reagan movie. I played the pastor to Ronald Reagan, and it played by Dennis Quaid. And
great.
I've just been honored to be part of these wonderful movies, and I'm going to keep making the kind of movies that Hollywood used to make. Hollywood's hurting themselves over and over again with this woke agenda, and Hollywood booted me out over a decade ago. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
But I love that we conservatives who had worked in the entertainment business, we're not whining about it. We're just saying, oh, fine, we're going to do our own thing. And I can't wait to see that Reagan movie. The trailer looks phenomenal. So, Kevin, great work as always. And the new book, it's just in time for Father's Day. It's called The Bear Essentials of Fatherhood. It's with Brave Books. Get it, and let's celebrate fathers. We need them now more than ever. Thanks, Kevin.
Yep, two great things. Go to sorbostudios.com and also go to bravebooks.com as well. All the information's right there.
There you go, Sorbo Studios. That's easy. Sorbo Studios. Well, Mercedes, it's been 12 years now since I left Southern California for the great Mid-Atlantic D.C. region. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's like almost a quarter of my life.
We're glad to have you here.
And when you look back at the state that is really, a Democrat nirvana, you want to know what it would be like to live under Democrat one-party rule. You look at California, look at Los Angeles County. And you see, because they have everything they want, everything they desire. There's no opposition. Whatever Democrats want to do, they can do it. And, well, we're seeing the fruits of those wonderful ideas as a brand new trend coming out of L.A., which is certainly a place where trends are set. The new trend is to get out of L.A. Goldie Hawn and her longtime live-in partner get married, for crying out loud, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell apparently have had their house broken into twice in a 4-month span. One of the times, Goldie Hawn was actually alone in the house when she heard a noise upstairs. They were trying to get into her bedroom while she was in the house.
Wow.
So she told Kelly Ripa on a SiriusXM satellite radio show. Is satellite still a thing? That's weird. That they're thinking of moving to Palm Desert. They said we're thinking of getting out of L.A. Jillian Michaels, the fitness guru, she's already left California. She told Bill Maher a couple of months ago that she left to go to Miami because California has become so crazy. She said
we don't need the liberals moving into the red states. Like, let them move to New York, or just find a red state, a blue state for Vermont. Leave the red states alone. We don't need the liberal craziness.
I hear you, but I think the diehard liberals are staying there. They've convinced themselves that it's worth it to stay there because of their nirvana of left-wing policies. I think the people who are leaving, I think it's kind of an open secret in Hollywood that Kurt Russell is a conservative. Jillian Michaels, I believe, is pretty conservative. I think it's the right-wingers who are leaving. Our previous guest, Kevin Sorbo, he and Sam moved to Florida a couple of years ago as well.
They just destroy the liberals just destroy, but Hollywood is part of it. Yes, if you find the conservative actors or actresses, we'll take them in the red states. But otherwise, state of California, you've created the mess.
Jillian Michaels, by the way, in her interview with Bill Maher, she said that her house was broken into by a repeat offender, and who let him out of jail so he could offend repeatedly? Gavin Newsom, when he emptied the prisons during COVID. It's the second anything happens, Democrats want to empty the prisons.
helped all these prosecutors win, which that they're they can get bailed out quickly, or there's no bail, and they are able to exit.
Yes,
exit the prisons.
It should be noted, in Virginia, every major name politician, elected official, they go to California to raise all of their money, and when they get that money from California, they try to enact policies in Virginia, too. Virginians need to get smart about this. It's 8:52. It's always a great morning with you, Mercedes. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're the best.
Oh,
but
did you
he's
hear that,
even
Chris
better?
Plant? Did you hear that? She said, I'm the best, Chris.
But you know who's even better?
No one is better than the best, Mercedes.
That's true, I think. Technically, semantically.
What's up, Chris?
Gort, Klaatu Barada Nikto. Gort, Klaatu Barada Nikto. Come on, it's one of the most famous space alien lines of all.